guys, welcome back to the channel. We are working on our deck plate for the quad cab. A lot of you guys saw we registered for Blake Fitzgerald's Dyno Day. It is coming up March 15th, 16th. Myself and David are enrolled. So originally I really wasn't going to do it, mostly because I just didn't really care. But enough people showed up, so we'll do it. We're going to get our no limit block back together. You guys kind of saw that in the intro clip here. We did do a color change to cast iron. I just did a customer's engine like that and was kind of feeling it. Now, because of the way we're changing the front, I had to paint it beforehand. So if you guys are new to the channel, we have this no limit manufacturing up in Wisconsin. Eric over there did this block. I originally bought it off Jared Ring, a guy down in Texas, with a pretty cool no prep truck, or I don't know, X275 or I don't know, something really fast truck. You've probably seen it at PRI. But this is a Cummins block that has been deck plated with no limits, custom in-house sleeves. I think I missed that last time. We did run this block at UCC last year, and we're gonna do it again. So Cummins block, no limit billet mains that are cross bolted. So you have your normal main studs here, and then if you look, 5 of the 7 mains are cross bolted. Now what that matters is the girdle actually overhangs the front and rear. So this is like your your rear main housing right here. So what I found the easiest way to do this on Eric's girdle is you put your rear main housing and your front timing case on before you put the girdle on. So his instructions: you seat the caps, start these, run them back out halfway, put the studs on, and you just torque them to 100 foot-pounds. What I do with that is I will actually use it to hold the crank in while I put the front and rear main on. Rear main's already on, you guys seen. I drilled and tapped this front plug. I had some issues with getting a plug to go in there, so we just drilled it out. 45/64 is the drill bit, and it's 1/2 inch national pipe thread. The big thing you want to avoid is that oil galley right there. So measure the depth of that, measure the depth of your plug, and get it tapped where the plug does not block that, but doesn't interfere with the front timing case. Now, kind of been holding out on you guys a little bit. We do have a new product here. Not really new for us, new to the channel. We have one of New Performance Auto's billet dual pump front timing cases. So this is going to allow us to run 2 CP3 pumps, gear driven. So excuse my fingerprints here. This is, again, New Performance Auto Row Retreat. You guys have seen us plug Steve before. He got us set up with this. It's the same cover that Dave has. He just did different tool paths. I really think this just looks killer, and I'm not going to ruin it with some powder coat. So I'm going to get this thrown on, and then I'll get you guys set back up on a time lapse for throwing the full girdle on. It is a, I can tell you here, 60 step torque sequence, I believe. Yeah, 60. Once you do that. So a lot of fun. It's one of those things you kind of gotta have it for the power. I stand behind the statement. This is one of the baddest cast blocks you're going to get from No Limit, the cross bolted main caps. If you guys missed it on the teardown, we did a teardown after UCC, 2800 horsepower, and mains were not a problem. We did have some rod bearing problems, but that was my fault. And then going in, we're reusing our diamond pistons from last year, 80 thousandths 4125. Got some fresh total seals that I already cut. We're gonna reuse our Wagler Extreme Beam. This is the newest evolution in deck plate rods from them. They set us up. I think this was like set 1, 2, or 3 they've ever sold, and we got our hands on it. Here's some more of the girdle bolts here, and then I have a transmission I gotta tear down here in the next couple days. So cramp space, easiest way is start getting all this crap onto here, free up a bunch of room. So that's what we're gonna get to. So I might have made a tiny oops. I put a gasket on here. It was already too late. I should have known not all the bolt holes would line up. But we do have our camshaft installed with our billet front cover. Again, guys, I use these bolts here just to keep good pressure on the plate. I RTV'd the case and the block, so I think it'll seal just fine. From here, all I have to do now is put the girdle in, which to some might seem like an easy feat, but this is actually that 60 cycle torque spec 9000. But you guys will see here in a minute exactly why I put the cases on and the rear main on before I put the girdle in. It just helps to line everything up. So from here, we'll flip it over. Now that I don't have to worry about the tappets, we can kind of keep moving right along here. I'm not sure how far we're going to get on the pistons tonight and such, but we'll go until I'm ready to retire. And then just before I can tear this trans down, I'm going to have to deal with these pistons because they're in the way. But it looks really awesome. I like billet parts. And now I don't know if we actually had a ton of belt slipping problems, but what this does now, if you guys want to visualize it here. And so here's CP3 number 1, CP3 number 2. So instead of having that fleece dual pump kit with the pulley and all that, now we get away from that and we basically just run 2 gear-driven CP3s. The only thing I've noticed, and Steve didn't give me any instructions, which you probably thought I just knew, these are a through hole. So we're going to make sure that we put some like thread sealant Loctite on here. That way we don't have any oil leaking through the case. I checked both of these. These were tight from Steve. There's also this crank sensor that tightens in from the back. So that's one of those that you definitely want to double check. Mine was already torqued with Loctite, so that is good. But, you know, I don't know how other brands are, but this is the way Steve does his. He makes it 2-piece, and it's pretty smart. For a lot of you guys that see, like, a lot of these billet parts and stuff, some of these, like, you know, your dual valve covers, they'll have that baffle that goes on here. This is a prime example. This piece is machined. That way, the thickness of the material, it saves a lot on cost by just having this bolt on. I do know that this is also doweled as well for alignment, so I don't envision us having any issues with that. And then on his front case cover, it's all O-ringed, which is nice. And then you have a dowel here and a dowel here for alignment. I really like that. That's a nice feature for putting it on. And if you guys look at the back of his cover here, it is O-ringed, which again, really, really nice piece there. Now, let's put this girdle in. So now you guys kind of see the dilemma we're in. So the reason why you want to install this stuff before you put the girdle on is very simple. There's an O-ring here. If you go to put the case on the dowels, especially the front case, you'll actually end up sometimes tugging the O-ring and rolling it out of the groove. So this is how Eric's girdle seals to the block. It's a O-ring, very similar to like your 6-liter, 6.4 Power Stroke O-ring seal. Don't mind that over there. That's a repair job. I ported it a little too far. I finally got time to TIG weld it. So no disrespect to Eric at all, but I just run a very, like, I put some RTV on my finger and run it across the O-ring. I just really don't want leaks. So that's how I combat this. And then from here, let's see here, back halfway out, next torque, okay. Okay, so we got to put the girdle on the mains, 10 mil screws to the ball end, turn the screws, turn them all in halfway, back out, main studs, washers, set your torque to 40. Okay, so we're going to start doing all that. You guys can see here, it's quite the torque sequence. So I'm going to set this down once I get it RTV'd and get you guys set up on a little time lapse, but that's what we do. And also, I don't know if every brand's like this, but Steve actually used a time cert in his aluminum front case, which is pretty awesome. Makes it really strong and less likely to strip. So again, not saying that no one else does it, just one of the things I noticed on Steve's that he didn't have to do, but it certainly is nice that he did. Literally 45 minutes later, it is torqued and on. And I think I'm going to clean up, call it a night. It's Sunday after all. So, as you can see, I've been slowly trying to take care of my mistake. But, yeah, 60, it's like 100. I think it's 120 steps because you got 14, 28, 42 here. 10, 20, 62. And then we got 14 here. So, 62 plus 14. Yeah, it's 128 steps because you got to seat these caps too. Yeah, so 128 step torque sequence. I don't know if it really matters at all, but we haven't had any issues with this. So I'm going to just keep doing it the way that Eric tells us to in the instructions. I'm sure there's a reason for it. Crank spins over great. Crank thrust came in good. Cam thrust came in good. So I think we'll bag it here. Really, this is honestly the most dreadful part of this engine, in my opinion, is this girdle. What it lacks in ease of install, we gain a lot in strength, though. So kind of just got to go with it. And then the only audible I do is I put silicone on all of the bolt heads. And that is to stop oil from potentially leaking out. It's not something that Eric puts in the instructions, but it is something that I found works pretty good. Just from when PDD had this block, we had a couple of oil leaks. So, yeah, fresh paint job and call it a night. Get everything cleaned up. It's a disaster everywhere, but made good progress. All we got to do is put our rings on, pins in, rods on, and everything's already cleaned. Bearing clearances are checked, ready to go. So that'll be pretty fast flinking it together, and that'll probably be where we end the video. On a short block, I'm waiting for some fire rings to get here for putting the head on, but really excited. This billet cover looks sick, and let's clean up. 22 minutes later, here she is. Put it at TDC, just kind of wipe the excess oil off. Got them all in there. Again, these are, we did not take this block to the machine shop. I just dingleberry honed it. Everything came out good. Replaced those O-rings on that one sleeve that had kind of popped up. We got a fresh no limit cam. Look at those dimes there. Don't pay attention to that. The rest of it. And then Eric uses this really big keyway. It lets you run offset keyways without sacrificing reliability. I took that clip earlier for you guys so that way you could see it, but he offers them in all different degrees. And that is where we ended up. Again, TIG welded our crank gear as well. Billet front cover, I think it'll really come to life once it's a complete long block, but this is how it's going to sit for a little while until we get everything for our head. No sense in putting the oil pan on right now. We'll just let it go. I'm going to touch up the paint in a couple of spots where some RTV whatnot got on there. But Wagler extreme beams are in. No limit girdle. Unit. That is what this thing is. An absolute unit. Hopefully it makes that number we're shooting for. Anyway, guys, a lot of assembly, not so much technical info. Again, we went over the parts. Extreme beam rods from Wagler. Diamond pistons, 4125 bore. Trend pins, DLC coated. Aluminum button caps so they don't have C-clips. Mall HXs in the mains, Mall H's on the rods, total seal rings, same crank and block from No Limit as before. And yeah, honestly, it probably takes about a full day of cleaning, prepping, painting, all that stuff to get here. So it does take a little bit of time for sure. All I can tell you is the longer it takes doesn't make it better. The longer it takes doesn't make it not as great either. You just got to know what to check for. And again, all the clearances are set on this thing. And hopefully we got a runner. And also, just for you guys, I did put a couple oil pan bolts in to align the dowels. Align the girdle to the oil pan bolts. I forgot to do that last time. It makes getting the oil pan bolts in kind of a pain. But without further ado, guys, give this one a big thumbs up. Drop your comment if we're going to see you at Fitzgerald's Horsepower Fest, I think, or Horsepower Throwdown. It's myself, Chris Patterson, Brady Prowse out of Kentucky. Then you have Greg A., Chris Patterson's other truck, Michael Brown, Logan Epling, Hunter Coffey, and David. I don't think I missed anybody. If I did, I apologize. But that is your heavy hitter list. Not sure how we got that title, but it is what it is. And we'll move on to getting this be a long block here. I'll make sure I pick up the camera and show you guys, but this is where we'll leave it. Subscribe if you're not already, and as always, I'll catch y'all on the next one.